Beer, rum, and rock and roll. Saving rock, one conversation at a time. With Randy Legault and Beau Shiminsky.
All right, boys and girls, it's happy hour once again. It's time for beer, rum, and rock and roll.
Indeed, my friend. Cheers to you.
All right.
I'm thinking of changing the name, though.
Thoughts?
Beer, rum, weed, and rock and roll.
Oh, well, sure.
I'm in this new thing, man.
Right.
Like, I am now a horticulturalist,
Yes, right.
and I love it. It's so part of my day-to-day now.
You're on the daily?
And I just planted 3 new seeds, and they sprouted yesterday. Let's start with the classic Jack Herer.
All right.
Then we went to the Gorilla Glue.
Ooh, that sounds not good.
Oh, it is. It glues you to the couch. That's what it's called. It's for that reason.
Yes.
You watch a movie, you're not moving.
It's aptly named.
Yeah. Gorilla Glue
Yeah.
and Cushy Cush.
That sounds more my speed.
You might like it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm all in on this whole process.
Now, how much of that can you grow in your own house legally? Like, there must be a limit there, yeah?
They say 4 plants.
4 plants?
4 plants.
Okay.
At any time.
Right.
I had a pretty bumper crop. Like, I had colas like, I don't know, 13, 14 inches long, kind of the size of my
See, you with the jargon.
hammer.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Bud, big bud, big bud. I'm a happy boy. The plant sprouted. I'm good. Anyways.
All right.
Yeah.
You know how I like to rant about little things like Seinfeld does?
Mm-hmm.
I need somebody to explain to me. Are you electric or straight razor guy? Straight razor, yeah.
I am.
When you shave.
When I shave, when I shave right down to the nub, which has been years.
Pre-beard, what were you doing?
Straight.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Real men use straight razors.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like the process.
Here's what puzzles me, and I shave in the shower. I don't get the...
I used to do that. I used to have a mirror in there and all that.
Pores are open.
Yeah.
Go,
yeah.
you're
It's
already in there.
smooth. It's clean. I'm not wiping down the sink. I get
exactly.
it. I get
Perfect,
it.
right?
Yeah.
That's not really my point. My point is, we do the grocery click and collect thing, right? Have for years. I haven't been in a grocery store in, I don't know, 10 years probably.
Yeah. I'm just going to, before you go on there, I just got to comment on that. Because I tried it and I fucking hate it.
I hate going to the grocery store.
Okay.
I love
there
it.
you go. Oh, I hate it. I like going in.
We never ever. Yeah, not me. I'd rather have some guy bring it out for me. It's just how I roll.
Okay.
I don't need to squeeze my own melons.
All right, let's go back to the blade. Yes.
Anyways,
yes,
I digress.
Yeah.
So Andrea's doing the click and collect, and she clicked shaving gel instead of shaving cream.
Doesn't the gel foam up anyways?
Exactly.
Right.
What's the fucking point? If your goal is to have foam, why are you starting out in gel form? So I'm in the shower with the gel trying to make it foam when I could buy one that, comes out foam already.
But what did that take you? Like 2 seconds?
These are
to
little
get there?
things that annoy me, you see?
Maybe it has a bit more of a soothing effect on your skin.
Come on.
Like, really? Are you complaining
do I look
about
different?
gel to foam right now? Is this what's happening?
I just don't get it. I'm not complaining. I just don't understand.
Okay.
Just give me foam. Why am I working? Why am I working the gel into foam? Why am I doing this?
Remind me not to hire you for anything.
Why am I doing this, Beau? Why am I doing this shit?
That's too much work for you already. I see.
I got shit to do.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I shave in about 30 seconds. Gone. Okay, so that's my Seinfeld moment of the day. Something Randy doesn't understand.
All right. That's a new
foam.
segment. I got to create a little sound design for that. Something Randy doesn't understand. Maybe I'll get it voiced.
Okay, man.
Let's get to the
fun part.
Yeah.
We're super jazzed about this episode of the show. Guitarist Sam Coulson paid us a visit. Now, I knew who he was. You knew who he was. But if you don't know who he is, let me tell you who he is. So here's what's cool. He's from England.
Yeah.
But he's been Calgary-based for over a decade. So he's one of us, man.
See, I wore my...
What do you got?
my British socks today.
Nice.
In honor of Sam. And I brought in my cricket British guitar player shirt, Mr. Jimmy.
You're reaching a bit there. But that's
You
okay.
know what? It's all part of the vibe, the theme, as they say.
Yes.
I put a little time into it.
Yeah.
All that time I saved not figuring out foam and gel, I put to my attire.
Right. Yeah. I'm too busy worrying about foam and gel.
But yes, he's from England.
Yeah, and he's based here now. his resume goes as follows. I'll just skim. But he replaced Steve Howe in Asia.
Right there, alone, a guy that lives in Calgary replaced Steve Howe.
Yes.
In which band?
Asia. And Steve Howe was in Yes. So Asia, for those of you who don't know, most of you know the songs, but it's like a prog supergroup. So you got Emerson, Lake and Palmer guys, you got King Crimson guys, and you got Yes guys.
Yeah.
Heat of the moment. You know what I think of when I think of that song in Asia is 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Right.
He's got the framed fucking poster.
Right.
Anyway, huge hits, yeah.
Huge. And a super group, like you said.
Yeah,
it was,
absolutely. Only Time Will Tell was another big hit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he recorded an album and toured with them for a few years. He recorded 2 solo albums. One's classical music redone on electric, and the other one's 10 originals.
Mm-hmm.
So he's getting it done that way.
Mm-hmm.
And just this earlier this year, I think around February, he wrapped up the North American tour. He's the lead guitarist in We Will Rock You, a musical based on the music of Queen.
Which we talked about in the podcast.
We
If you
did.
want to know a little bit more about that, go back to the archives and check it out, because we had the music director on, a guy by the name of Russ Broom.
Yeah.
And he found a great guitar player to fill that role. And this guy doesn't miss, man. He just does not
wicked.
miss. Yeah.
And not only is
cool.
he just an incredible player, he's a super nice guy. Like, I'd bumped into him once before we talked to him, but I basically didn't know him, and neither did you. He's cool as fuck. He's talked to him. Common ground. I could have talked to him for 8 hours. Like, no problem. You know, he's just a super nice guy.
Yeah. All right, enough of us fucking talking about this.
Yeah.
We should introduce our viewers and listeners to the one and only Sam Coulson.
Roll it.
Let's go.
Now that's how you start a fucking podcast.
Holy shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome Sam Coulson to the Beer, Rum, and Rock and Roll podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, boys.
Cheers.
I'm a fan of the show.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate your time, and it's good to be here to talk about some guitar-y stuff.
Dude, the pleasure's all ours. Thank you for taking the time, man.
My pleasure.
Awesome.
Dude, I thought you were going to start with Tonight I'm Gonna Rock Ya from Spinal Tap. I thought for sure that was the warm-up
I
tune.
used to know.
Tonight we're gonna rock it.
Let's see.
Well, I saw you do it on a video at a sound check, and I was howling. I'm going, this is the perfect sound check,
man,
dude.
Yeah, that was my sound check riff for a while.
Yeah, it was killer. It was killer.
That is a good riff.
Oh, it's just so iconic being a music lover, and you know that film.
That whole record, like the Spinal Tap record, it's killer.
Yeah,
it's killer.
They can actually play.
Totally.
Because they did a couple albums. Yeah.
Absolutely.
they can play in an egg that closes.
Or
Little Harry
doesn't open.
Yeah, it closes and doesn't open. Right. Okay,
we're
good.
done.
We're
Good night.
spent.
Yeah. How you doing with the whole quarantine thing, man? How's it going?
You know what? The timing with this whole thing has been very good for me, because I got off the road at the end of February.
Right.
February 20th. And that was about a couple weeks before everything shut down. Yeah. So I was planning on being home right now anyway. I've got two young kids at home. Mm-hmm. And, it's been great to spend lots of extra time with them. Yeah. And that was my plan. So I'm in full daddy duty mode right now. So
it worked out all right.
Yeah, it worked out okay. Yeah. So I feel quite lucky in that regard.
And you're posting a lot of videos online.
Yeah. I've been trying to make the most, as it were. So I've been, really getting into the YouTube thing more than I usually do. And I've been trying to churn out some content on there.
Like Bark at the Moon with your kid.
Yeah.
You said?
That was awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Let's get you to sing this one.
Yeah, my son, he's 4, and all I do, the whole day long, we're playing music in the house, and he loves to sing.
Right on.
And I'm really trying to encourage both of them to have a bit of a passion for music. And yeah, him being 4, he's really into Aussie.
Right.
That's a 4-year-old thing.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that?
You know what he's going to do? He's going to piss you off and become an accountant.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he probably won't want anything to do with my business.
When my son was 4, and your son was how old when we went to see Kiss? in Edmonton?
Right.
And you took him with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was worried. Was he going to... He knew what
enjoy
Kiss
it?
was, and he was watching Kiss on YouTube and stuff. Dude, I could show you some video. He got it and lost his mind.
Yeah.
Like the
Oh,
horns,
yeah.
the whole thing.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
fantastic.
Well, it's so entertaining and vivid, like the light show and the costumes.
Yeah.
Like you can see how
A young mind embraces that, right?
Yeah, totally.
Well, we were very young when we got into Kiss.
Yeah.
though,
Yeah.
for sure.
We mentioned Kiss already.
Yeah.
See?
Didn't take long.
Every podcast.
It didn't take long.
Yeah. So to bring it around to you, when you were that age, music in the house, all that kind of stuff?
Always
or-
music in the house. My mum plays guitar,
Okay.
and my dad is an incredible singer. He's like a classically
wow.
trained singer, and he plays the church organ as well. And I would often go to church with him and sit beside him while he played the organ, and that was definitely a very inspiring musical thing.
Right.
Just the power of a pipe organ in a large building like that.
Isn't
was,
that crazy?
was
Right.
pretty cool.
It's cool to see visually already.
Yeah.
It's so impressive.
Totally.
These massive pipes and
Yeah.
then the volume.
Spectacular.
volume,
Yeah.
And then acoustics that they actually build these buildings to sound good.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, lots of reverb. So, yeah, there was a fair amount of that. My mum and dad were playing music a lot in the house, and I started piano lessons, and I quit pretty early on the piano because it was like, reading from the book, and
Right.
Mary Had a Little Lamb, and that didn't really
Yeah.
work for me so much. So, I didn't pick up the guitar until I was about 15 or 16.
Oh, pretty late.
Yeah.
Right on.
But that's all I did for years after
Right.
that. So
And why was it the guitar? Was it a
I think
music you were into?
Yeah,
Or,
I think it was rock music. But also, I remember a couple years prior to me getting my first electric guitar, one of my friends had one, and it was like a Strat
Right.
knockoff type thing. I just thought it was the coolest thing, and yeah, from that moment on, I wanted to have a go.
Right. The captivating quality of that instrument
Oh man,
is it's really hard to beat it.
yeah.
In any instrument. Like
It
put
really
it up
is.
against the flute any day. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. Well, Jethro Tull kind of rocked it.
Well, yeah, I guess it's
Kinda.
one.
Yeah, the heavy metal flute.
So what was the first guy
Yeah.
that you thought, fuck, I want to be that?
Yeah, what music were you
I want to be
digging?
that guy.
I remember there was a guy in my school who was a couple years
Oh,
older
okay.
than me, playing like Johnny B. Good and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's funny how those memories stay with you, and the quality of the musicianship is still above you in your memory.
Sure.
So that was very inspiring, and even now to think about him playing those Chuck Berry riffs.
Right.
In my memory, it's like the best guitar thing I've ever heard in my life. Nirvana was a big one for me.
Right.
When I started playing guitar, those songs were quite accessible because you learn a few power chord shapes and you could start playing.
Sure,
along
they
with
weren't
records.
really intricate type of song structures.
Yeah, in terms of
you
actually
could play along,
banging
yeah.
out a few power chords.
That's
I mean,
right.
his songwriting was incredible.
Yes.
Sure.
But to play them on guitar
Right.
was quite accessible. And after that, lots of blues stuff. Jimi Hendrix was a big one for me early on. Gary Moore,
Yeah.
Walter Trout, a lot of those blues guys who play long guitar solos. Later on, Joe Bonamassa.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
Yeah.
Schenker, that kind of stuff?
Schenker,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Into the Arena.
Yeah,
That's
oh,
one of my
dude,
favourite
that instrumental.
instrumentals.
Oh, yeah. It's badass.
Yeah, Michael Schenker was killer.
Oh, man.
So, what was your first guitar?
My first guitar, it was Christmas, and my mum and dad got me an Epiphone SG with one of those little Marshall MG. I think it was an MG 15, and yeah, I played that thing for years. And one of the cool things about having an amp like that is it made you sort of work a bit harder to get a good tone.
Right. There wasn't a whole lot to it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I spent a couple of years playing through that Marshall MG, and then I was really serious. I was playing so much guitar. My dad took me and he got me a Les Paul Standard, which was really special. I've still got it, and it was just the most mind-blowing thing that my mum and dad ever did for me. The support was incredible, and they got me a 100-watt Marshall, and then I was set.
You're off, then, man.
And they were
out of the house.
You know what? I must have been terrible because I was pinning it. You know.
Well, as you should with that big head. Yeah.
I was playing loud, and one of my friends had a drum kit, and he set it up in my bedroom.
Well, they're worse. Drums are worse.
Between that and the big Marshall.
The guitar's got to get over top. Yeah.
Oh yeah. we used to actually shake things off of my sister's shelves in the next room. Yeah,
nice.
So we were loud.
Yeah, they got a deep switch on this Marshall where I put it. I just hit it. I got.
Oh, you got it, man. You got it.
And that just brings a whole other low end level that just, scares every animal.
Oh man,
it's so primal, dude.
It's just the most enjoyable thing. And even with my 4-year-old son William, I've got this old Squire bass, and I cut all the strings off except for the E string.
Oh yeah.
And I strapped it on him, and I plugged it into a big amp.
Killer.
And it was, cranked up, so it's not going to hurt his hearing.
Sure.
But loud enough for him to feel the power. And it was good.
Right on. Do you remember the first CD, I guess, you bought with your own money? Because album, you're too young for albums. So
you know what? I think the first album I bought was a Tom Jones album, actually.
Really?
It was Tom Jones Reload.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow. Why?
Which it came out that time, and like Sex Bomb was on the radio and some of that stuff. That was the first one I bought with my own money. I think after that, maybe The Darkness. Because that was that same sort of time that I was starting to play guitar. Yeah. And that record was huge in England. Yeah. And those music videos, it was all Les Pauls and Marshalls, and it was...
They're coming here.
Are they?
Yeah, well, they had to postpone because of the COVID, but yeah.
I'd love to see them.
Oh, dude.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah. That guitar player's wicked. That singer's phenomenal, too.
And he's playing all the lead stuff, and he's singing way up there.
And he's taking all the solos, that's right.
Yeah. He's like the Mariah Carey of... hard heavy rock. Yeah. He's the Mariah Carey, 8 octaves. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I'd love to see them live. And it's that whole tongue-in-cheek.
Oh,
exactly.
It's that whole Steel Panther thing almost, but 20 years earlier.
But way better. Yeah. They're playing the Palace.
So
that's great venue. Yeah.
I'm there.
Okay, another first concert, like real concert.
Oh, I went to see Rancid when I was a
Rancid.
Yeah.
Wow, I haven't thought of them in a long time.
In Birmingham.
Was it a girl that made you go to that show?
No.
Were you
I doubt it was.
Were you rocking a mohawk?
I don't think so. Yeah, Rancid was an early one.
So you're into the punk thing a little bit?
A little bit. Yeah. In fact, sort of the punk ska thing I was really into for a long time, like Real Big Fish and Goldfinger.
Right.
I was really into that, high school years.
Right.
That was cool. I went to see Muse in Birmingham.
Oh man, they're good. I've never seen them, but
yeah, great band, and his keyboard skills and his vocals and his guitar playing.
It's so fresh sounding. Really got that going on. The Olympics knew when he was involved in the Olympics. They dialed in pretty quick as to that's the right thing, and it sounds very good. And this guy's very good.
And they put on a good show.
It's great to see a trio do that kind of stuff as well.
Totally.
And just the heavy lifting that a bass player has to do in that kind of scenario. And you think about some of those bass lines and how big they are. I think he's got a big muff or something that he's running his bass into, and
you want one? I got one in the cabinet over there. Do you want to put one on?
Maybe later.
Maybe later. What kind? We'll get the big muff showing. I forgot the pussy melter at home, but I have the big muff.
Oh God, there's too many jokes in my head. My fucking head's gonna explode. Oh, dude. Yeah, I just want to get back to guys that inspired you a little bit. Were there any techniques certain guys had that you're like, I gotta fucking master that, like vibrato or whatever it is,
Yeah, for sure. Paul Gilbert was a big one for me.
He's incredible, yeah.
I think I was about 20 years old, and I decided to break apart my whole picking technique.
Okay.
And when I was 20, I'd been playing in a band and living in Glasgow, away from my mum and dad, and doing it professionally for a year or so. And watching a lot of Paul Gilbert stuff, I wasn't happy with my technique. And I actually went home back to mum and dad's house. And I spent a whole year working on my technique.
Wow.
Treating it like a day job and playing like 8 hours a day. And all of the Paul Gilbert instructional material was really helpful to me.
He was big on those tapes and stuff, right? Yeah. And when you heard Addicted to That Rush, you're probably like, what the fuck? Him and Sheehan trading off. That was just incredible.
Yeah. So he was a big one for me.
Right on.
Eric Johnson was an inspiring player, and in the same vein line, Joe Bonamassa.
You mentioned your first band.
My first band, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so this was a rock band. Was it a blues band? It was
a rock band. Yeah, the first professional band I was in was a Scottish band called 96.4. I guess around that time I'd started posting videos on YouTube to try to get some gigs.
I see.
And this band out of Glasgow approached me about moving up there, and I did, and it was a lot of fun. And I was the youngest guy in the band by, I guess.
So your videos got you hired for that band?
That's right. That was a great time in my life playing in that band, and it was a lot of fun. And I've got those EPs that we made, and I'm quite proud of those.
So you had some EPs done, okay?
Yeah.
And you were the only guitar player?
Two guitar players.
Two guitar players.
Two
the
guitar
Twin
players.
Attack.
And it was Les Pauls and Marshalls, and it was fun.
It was so crazy to be in a band, like that whole experience of guys and kind of getting together, making noise, making it your own the very first time. You're not jaded. You're just you're just sucking in all of it.
Totally.
And how great that is.
Absolutely.
Right?
And have that camaraderie, living together,
yeah,
and being poor together.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, it's a whole deal, right?
Trying to figure out whether you're going to buy beer or food that week.
Or find someone to buy it for you. So this was always the goal.
Ketchup is a sauce. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so that was probably maybe the third band I was in. Before that, I was in a couple of bands in Bromsgrove with some of my school friends.
Right.
And I think the nice thing about having friends that play guitar in school is you get this sort of nuclear arms race to become a better guitar player. That competition.
Yeah, you want to be around better.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Like at this point, are you thinking, I'm doing this for a living and that's that? I'm not going to get a job at a fucking store. Like this
Did
is...
you go to your parents like Lifeson and say, I'm quitting school?
That's right. Like when was that point where you're like, I can do this and I'm going to fucking do this? Like,
well, for me, like I was never very successful in school.
Right.
I scraped through high school.
Right.
Playing lots of guitar instead of studying, really. And after that, I did something, I think you'd call it community college over here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a music technology program.
Yeah.
Which
connected.
Yeah, which was good because the main thing really was practicing guitar. But it was something that really helped mum and dad stay happy. You know, I was going to college and doing something. But really, I was spending most of my time practicing and doing all of that. And I had a few jobs here and there, like I was washing up in a pub.
Right.
And I think that was probably the last proper job I had. Really.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Except for guitar teaching, which has been my bread and butter thing for a decade or so.
Right.
So, are you still doing it?
Not at the moment. I've done a lot of the Skype stuff, and it is good. It is good, but I miss being able to play with someone and jam. And
for sure,
it's okay, but
come on down.
It's hard to beat it.
We can jam here. It's all good.
This is such a great setup. Yeah, absolutely.
I want to hear you play again. I'm trying to think of a way to do that. Like the Paul Gilbert thing. Give me something that he did that you thought, man, this guy.
So sort of a big Paul Gilbert thing for me was a lot of the picking stuff. And there's one that's all over his instructional videos, which is... that kind of a thing there.
Right.
And my whole thing was put movies on and practice for a couple of hours doing a repetitive lick like that.
Right.
And then a few hours have passed by and you've got it under your fingers pretty good. So there was a lot of that stuff, and then trying to find variation.
Turn just this way a bit so everybody can see what you're doing. So it's
Stuff like that.
The sweep picking is what you're referring to here?
More alternate picking.
Alternate picking, yeah, okay. Right, not sweep, but alternate picking, yeah.
Sounds like you might have your 10,000 hours.
I'm always working on it.
That's right.
I'm always driving my family bonkers by, they're trying to watch something on the TV, and I'm...
Of course.
Yeah, but at least it's muted,
Yeah, and the electric is, a polite level.
That's right. It sure is, yeah.
But all of those exercises and things, it was important for me to really make sure I could resolve it with good vibrato and stuff like that.
Right.
So you can go from a lick and be able to control and be well intonated. Mm-hmm. And it all comes back to the blues for me as well, just playing over those
as it should
three chords.
That's the best grounded music ever.
Yeah.
Right.
And just trying to have some rhythm chops as well. And be able to sort of blend the two.
So there's two lessons there, right? There's patience in learning anything, because I find it a lot of guys that are getting into an instrument, especially guitar, they want to be good real quick, and then they get frustrated and then they leave it, right? Yeah. And then we're talking blues, which is another patient.
Yeah.
I mean, to get the soul or the vibe or the blues feeling, it's like you don't rush ever. Almost, it seems,
take your
right?
time, and
so they work really hand in hand.
And that's something that I try to get my students into quickly, is being able to jam a 12 bar, so you can work on your rhythm chops as well as your lead chops, and have it be musical.
Yeah,
like from a guitar instructor point of view. I think when you learn a new scale or a new technique, it has to be applicable to music quickly. Otherwise, what are you doing it for?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, man, give me the Reader's Digest condensed version of YouTube to Paul Gilbert to Asia, your first really big gig.
So I started posting videos on YouTube in 2006. And not many people were doing it back then.
Right.
So I was working quite hard on doing those, and it really helped me improve as a player. Because to be able to watch yourself and listen to yourself is a big thing to help you get better. Yeah. So I did that for a few years. I sent some of my videos to Paul Gilbert's fan page, thinking maybe he would see them, maybe he wouldn't. Mm-hmm. And he sent me a message back, and I was absolutely blown away to have my hero, say some nice things about my playing.
That is so cool, man.
And we sort of went back and forth, almost like having a pen pal. And he was a mentor to me for years. And I met him at a NARM show in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, 2010. I was doing some stuff for Fender.
Right.
So I was doing like some demo stuff in the Charvel booth. It's all under the Fender umbrella. And 2010, and I met Paul. He said, come on down to the Ibanez booth at this time. And we had a little hello then. And a few years later, he asked me if I would be an instructor at his Great Guitar Escape.
Okay.
Which was in New York State. And that was such a crazy week of my life, because I was one of the teachers. The others were Tony McAlpine.
Oh, man.
Guthrie Govan.
Yeah.
Paul Gilbert.
Hacks.
So I was, spending a week living and playing with those guys. And that was a massive education for me.
Right.
And just after that, I just happened to move back to England that same year. And Paul emailed me saying that he'd been thinking about doing this Asia thing. And, he was busy doing his solo records, and Mr. Big were just starting to get back together in that time. Mm-hmm. And he was kind enough to put my name forward. So I just moved back, and I drove down to the studio to sit down with John Wetton and like the management team, and they had seen my stuff on YouTube, like they'd done a bit of Googling, and they liked what they saw, and that's how I ended up getting that gig was from Paul.
What a great guy.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit,
I owe him
that's
like my whole career. Yeah, he's a phenomenal guy.
Pay it forward, man. Like,
wow, that's just so cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, did you tour with them before you guys made Gravitas, the album, or did you? How did that work?
I think the first thing I did with Asia was actually a recording session.
Oh,
for
okay.
that. And then we played some shows. We did a European tour that year.
Right.
And it was a bit of a baptism of fire. The second show I did with Asia was Sweden Rock.
Holy cow.
You know,
There's a few people there, yeah.
The same night, Rush were playing and Kiss were playing.
Oh my God.
And that was show number 2.
Wow. How much rehearsal before that? Like,
I think we played the set maybe once before that. And
holy cow.
because they don't need to rehearse.
Do they just send you the set list and you have to
They sent me
figure
the set list.
Wow.
So you had a day to figure this out?
Yeah. We did sort of a day in the studio that we recorded. We played through the set. And then we did a show local to the studio in a place called Milton Keynes in England. And then it was playing the big stages. I think it's probably 20,000 people on that second show.
This must have been incredible for you, man.
Yeah.
Now it's the first time for you of any kind of that magnitude, right? Like,
Well,
you had
we
conventions.
did some bigger stuff in the Scottish band as well. I probably played to about maybe some 10,000 people.
Okay, yeah.
Audiences. So I was quite lucky.
I was
in that
thinking bar
regard.
band. I'm not gonna lie.
So was I.
Guy. That's
I've
where I
done
was
that
headed.
too.
Yeah.
I'd done a lot of the bar band stuff too before that. So that was exciting.
Now, how is that? Are they saying, okay, we want this shit note for note, like the record?
That was a big weight off my mind because I don't play anything like Steve Howe.
I was getting to that. These big shoes you're filling there, buddy. Big shoes.
It was. I was driving to the studio thinking about all of this when I went to meet John Wetton for the first time.
Not to mention Carl Palmer's on drums. Like, this guy is no fucking slouch either. Right?
Totally, yeah. You know, it's the old guard of British classic rock.
When has a prog rock band not been incredibly musical like they are? Like that's the makeup.
And that's the thing about Asia. It was one of the first supergroups.
It was.
You had Carl Palmer coming from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which was one of the biggest bands of the 70s.
Totally.
John Wetton was in King Crimson, Uriah Heep, Wishbone Ash, a ton of those bands, and Jeff Downes was in Yes, and he
Who?
Jeff Downes.
Yes. Oh, I should have worn my no shirt. That would have been great.
and he co-wrote "Video Killed the Radio Star," which is the first first song that was on MTV.
Right. Yeah.
And his hands are the first thing you see in the video. So his hands were the first thing on MTV. Wow. So I was pinching myself playing with these guys.
I bet you were.
And with the whole thing, I was driving to the studio and thinking about the Steve Howe thing. And actually, Paul Gilbert had actually offered to get me like a Ibanez hollow body.
Okay.
As like a bit of a present.
Right.
I was in the studio and John said, he wasn't really interested in having someone to play Steve Howe note for note. He was looking for something a little tougher.
That's good.
With a little more of a rock edge.
Yeah.
That's nice to know that that's even happening.
Absolutely.
Because usually you just want the comfort level.
Yeah.
Especially when you're just kind of,
That's awesome.
When he said that, it was a huge weight off my mind.
Right
I was like, yes, that's something that I can do well.
Well, now that I know you and you're playing, you can hear that on those tracks, like those solos on Valkyrie and the title track. Like, that's you.
Thanks, man.
That's not fucking Steve Howe.
Oh, and I love how
me.
that record also just... There's a guitar solo on every track almost.
Pretty much.
Pretty
There's
close.
even a bass solo on
Oh
one.
yes, exactly. Yeah, I was going right on.
Exactly.
That's not Sam. That's
some tasty acoustic stuff too.
Thanks,
I might
man.
add.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And John's vocal for that whole record was just unbelievable. He was in fine form, and I feel very proud to have got the opportunity to have, played on a record with someone of that caliber.
I bounced back to a few older Asia tracks and then listening to the new your record that you're on, Gravitas. Yeah, his vocal was pretty much the same.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was reaching, you know. It felt pretty good.
To witness him do it every night really well, you know. He was phenomenal talent.
Did you participate in any of the writing?
No, I didn't. And maybe if we got to do another record, maybe that would have happened. But he died of cancer in 2017.
Right.
And I'd been in the band for, well, when did I start? It was 2012. So if he went on and lived a bit longer, maybe we would have done some co-writing together.
Because you guys hit it off. Obviously, he was a big fan of yours, and
we were good mates. Yeah,
right on.
And it was great touring with him and spending so much time. We got to tour Europe, and we toured America, and we toured Japan.
And there's some great videos on your channel, man. Back to the YouTube thing,
right?
Especially with the Journey connection, which I want to get to here roughly, because their situation, YouTube singer.
There you go. That's right. Yeah.
So that connection right there, plus you, YouTube, guitar player, both very iconic to the band, was pretty special.
Doing that Journey tour was such an education for me to be, doing those big arena crowds.
Neil Sean does not get his due. Neil Sean is fucking incredible.
Yeah, how much time did you spend with him? Because I've always looked up to him as a player.
Oh, he's so
writer.
good.
Yeah,
he's in Santana at 19.
Totally, and he played Clapton and all of this.
Yeah, who?
So every single day, I would watch him sound check. I'd sit front row, cup of tea,
right on,
watching him, and he let me play his guitar a couple times.
Cool.
And we had dinner once, and we got to talk about some nerdy guitar things like the Floyd Rose, which he's a big user of.
Yeah.
Right.
And so am I usually.
Right.
Yes. So to be able to watch him side stage every night after I'd done my set was incredible as well.
Wow.
And they were very kind to us, and it was an incredible time. I think we did about 45 dates with them in America.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was really special.
Tell us about that live album with the symphony, man. That must have been fucking cool.
Yeah, that was great. That was in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
And it was in an old Roman amphitheatre. That was the venue, built in the 2nd century.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool.
I think someone told me when we were there, the dressing room we were in is where they used to throw the dead gladiators.
I got to go watch that film.
Man.
I'm watching Russell Crowe tonight because I got to live that.
There's no history over here. Over there, there's just so much. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, Bulgaria. Yeah. That was great. To do that with the orchestra was really cool.
Now, sure as the sun will cross the sky, this flight is over. Lost like the tears that used to tide me over.
That's got to be powerful to be up there hearing
well,
that.
Well, to be honest, my monitor mix is me and drums and vocal.
Right. It's no different.
Right. You and drums and vocal.
Yeah, that's me.
Right.
My whole thing with monitors is the more simple it can be, the less can go wrong.
Right.
And actually going back to Sweden rock, festivals like that, there's no sound check.
Right. You walk on
it's go time. Yeah.
And it was the most important show of my life. And the first song, John has got those organ pedals,
okay.
the keyboard on the floor,
sure, yeah.
right? And his organ pedal in my monitor is the loudest thing in the world. I can't hear me, all I can hear is bloody organ pedals.
Oh man!
And I was like, turn those bloody things down.
Wow. Okay, before we leave the topic of Asia, can you give us a little heat of the moment solo or anything you want, man?
Let's see what we got. I really like the chords in the chorus. something like that.
that's it.
Okay. So that's a very iconic riff.
Yeah.
Especially growing up in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was all over radio. And it was big guitar forward and big drum forward.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, that kind of stuff.
It was everywhere, man.
It was everywhere.
That's a big song. And that record is one of 2 British bands' debuts to hit the American Billboard at #1. The other one's the Spice Girls. Yeah.
Holy cow, that's a
Having that
contrast.
clout of everyone's career before Asia really helped launch that band into what it was early.
That's crazy, man.
I got to say about
Really.
the solo on that song on the record.
Yeah.
You don't play that solo.
No.
And
I sort of...
because what I want to say is that I wasn't overly impressed with the guitar solo on the record. And then when I've heard you do it live, I'm like, that should have been on the record, in my opinion.
Right on.
Like, that's all I want to say, is that you bring a lot more in.
It's a different thing, isn't it? And Steve Howe...
way different.
Steve Howe's one of my favourite guitar players, and he's very much a jazz player more than a rock player, you know? And, you know, going back to what John Wetton said in the studio that first day, John was always after sort of more of a heavier thing.
Right on.
And actually, the third record that Asia did had a guitar player called Mandy Meyer, who had like a similar sort of heavy thing that I did. And I think part of the reason John wanted me was to go sort of back down that route.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know, your style, we're just to get on your style just a touch here, because I'm a fan of your muted licks.
Okay, yeah, thanks, man.
Like, I don't hear enough of it. You know, I probably heard that with Rhodes back in Aussie days, and where there was somebody that was doing it. He was one that comes to mind.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But I'm a huge fan, and I hear it all over the record, and I hear it when you warm up, and I'm just like, it's so part of your style, and it's catchy as
almost like having a built-in compressor. It makes every note about the same volume, so it's just a little bit cleaner.
Yeah.
It just makes everything a little more uniform. Yeah. You know?
But it has this attack and this clarity that's just so, and it pushes it just a little forward. And it's a real unique style that not everybody does. They're tone geeks or they're whatever, that they like to hear the note ring or do whatever they're doing.
I quite like a combination of the two. Like you can... And even when you're playing... So you get that best of both worlds, you know.
You know, he does a lot of that as Mustaine, a lot of palm muting. Like, he's fucking great.
It just sounds so cool and so rock and roll for me.
Yeah.
And listen, kids, you're learning a lesson here,
That's
which
right.
you'll get it from Sam on his videos. But you notice he turns the volume off, and I love that.
That's the key to being loud. And you know, like playing.
It's not quiet in here, just so you know.
No, it's perfect.
and playing in bands, that's your hands-free kit, right? You know, you finish the song. If you want to drink a beer or something, you've got to be good at that.
Yeah. No, it's right away. It's very instantaneous.
And something that gets me on a Les Paul, actually, is having two. Because often I'll finish the lick on one, turn it off.
That's right. Where did I leave my switch? I know,
yeah.
it sucks. It's like, I was on the rhythm.
And you've got to be a little bit OCD about touching them all the time to make sure they're turned up.
What guitar
down,
does it, though?
You know?
It's like, you look at any kind of guitar player, even if they're not doing anything,
Right.
they're just, you think they're adjusting something. Sometimes probably most of the time they're not. They're just making sure it's where they
it's up.
want.
Yeah,
That's right. That's
Especially
all it is.
like playing a Strat, which is what I use most of the time. The tone controls you have to touch to make sure they haven't rolled off.
Right.
You know,
right.
you've got to continually touch them to make sure they're all the way up.
And you have loose pots? Is this your...
Yeah. I love the loose pot thing, you know. It just makes it so you can do some of those sort of violin-y kind of... You know, it's hard to
first
Those
time-
aren't they're not as loose there.
The first time I heard that was on Diver Down, Eddie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I'm
totally.
like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Eric Johnson's great at that.
Yes.
And Joe Bonamassa does it incredibly well on a Les Paul. I can't really do it on a Les Paul. Like, it's so far away.
Right.
But on a Strat, it's close.
Yeah,
right.
And Jeff Beck and
Jeff's a killer at it,
Walter
yeah.
Trout, who's another one of my favourite guitar
Yeah.
players, is incredible at that. And Philip Sace.
Yep.
It's like very much a bluesy thing to be able to do these days.
I guess before you go, Randy,
Yeah.
we're going to stay
Before I
on-
change gears, what do you
We're
got?
going to stay on Les Paul just for a second.
Yeah, man.
Because 12 years ago,
Yeah.
you commented.
Uh-oh.
12 years ago.
12 years ago, you commented,
This is your life.
I'm loyal to good old Les Pauls. You won't see me play anything else.
Ah!
I guess that was true at the time.
Yeah, right. Because it is, I mean, it's to me, it was a much sexier instrument to
Oh,
gravitate right to
And let me
towards.
tell you, for me, the guitar in my head that I want to hear is a Les Paul.
Yeah.
And touring over the years, my Les Paul that my mum and dad bought me, which I still have, I broke the neck on it 3 times. And that sort of made me think, okay, this isn't working for me as much as I love it. I can't keep going through the heartbreak of
Right.
breaking my guitar over and over. I mean, you just got to look at it the wrong way, and
Snaps.
it breaks. So for me, putting a humbucker in a Strat and
Yes.
doing that whole thing, I mean.
Yeah.
My Strat there, I'd be pretty happy throwing that down the stairs, knowing that it would be okay.
Right.
You know, it's pretty hard to hurt one.
Okay, I want to talk about your first solo album,
Okay.
Electric Classical.
Yeah.
So Asia's on a hiatus, and you're like, well, I'm going to fucking make an album. Yes?
Yeah. When did I do? I think that was 2015.
According to my notes, Sam, it's 2015.
2015.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that record all by myself.
Right on.
Yeah, it was sort of an experiment for me in many ways.
Right.
To learn about making a record, and the nice thing about that record is it's guitar and that's it. There's no bass, there's no drums.
Right.
You can do it at home.
You can do it at home, and I'm
Right.
not good at that stuff, but I managed to do it.
Now, when I saw that and heard it, I'm like, okay, Yngwie's done this, and George Lynch has done it.
Yeah.
Like, were they an inspiration at all, or was this always something you wanted to do?
It
Or?
was sort of a different thing because when I was starting off at 16 around there,
Yeah.
I was learning to play a lot of fingerstyle stuff as
Right.
well, like on the acoustic.
Right.
So it was more that kind of a thing rather than like the Yngwie harmonic minor
So I
Right.
was
type
expecting
situation.
That. I was
Right.
expecting that record
to
being
be
like that.
Yeah.
Totally. When I
Yeah.
saw the name, going, okay, this is
Yeah.
going to be some Malmsteen type shit going on here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's all just Bach stuff and
Yeah.
Little Beethoven.
But it's
Beethoven.
cleaner. There is some.
Yeah.
There's some. Yeah.
It's all Strats, I think. It's all Strats and lots of clean stuff.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of the stuff by ear because I can't read music, so I'd sit down.
I was going to ask you,
You
that.
can't, eh? 'Cause
Oh, Eddie
I-
Van Halen can't,
Yeah,
so
I
there
can't
you go.
either. I'm not theory driven.
Now-
It was all by ear for sure.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there a favorite piece on that album you could play for us? Or
Can I make a request?
Yeah, maybe.
yeah, maybe. Yeah.
No, it's I don't know if my Spanish is good here. Recuerdos de la Alhambra
Yeah.
or the Moonlight Sonata Blues. One of those will
Yep.
be just fine for me.
That's a good one.
The Recuerdos thing is what's known as a tremolo piece.
Okay.
So the way to actually play that on a classical guitar involves this kind of.
Yeah, pedaling on the B string there or something like that. Yeah.
And it's that kind of a thing which I
Right.
can't do. So I did it as a duet with one guitar playing the melody.
I see.
And I could probably remember some of that.
Yeah, he remembers it.
That's beautiful, man. I really like
It's
that.
like a
It
Spanish
sounded great
piece.
on the record.
Yeah.
And I think I just sort of swelled in the volume on the melody. Like that, but with lots of reverb and
Right.
a nice, easy potentiometer so you can swell it in nicely. Yeah, the Beethoven one was a similar kind of thing where I just took the chords.
Yeah, right. I'm chopping broccoli.
Yeah. I just played like a blues solo.
Isn't that chopping broccoli?
It's chopping broccoli. I'm chopping broccoli. Yeah, it's awesome.
That's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
As we ruin it, talk over it.
No,
Chopping broccoli.
I think it brings the charm. It's beautiful, though. But I mean, you got to just go get this record and listen to what Sam has done, because I was expecting one thing and I was pleasantly surprised, and listening to it on a Sunday morning is pretty damn
cool.
awesome, man.
Thanks, man.
So you left Asia in around 2019.
Yep,
So
2019. So Steve Howe was coming back to do a tour.
Okay, yeah.
And, you know, I'm not going to get in the way of him.
No, no, you're not.
And I've got nothing but gratitude for the years that I spent in that band. And it was the best musical education ever. And it was time to move on. Steve was coming back.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, that's all good.
You're still looking up, though, man. See, that's the whole thing, right? Like,
Totally.
as a musician, it felt time, obviously.
It was a great time in my life. Yeah.
You must have learned so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, you know, touring, making records.
Yeah. How to get along in the bus. or
Totally.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah. How to conduct yourself on tour when you're in close proximity with people.
Yeah. How you hate plastic cups.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Plastic cups, yeah. Gotta have a real mug.
Can I get a real fucking mug over here? Let's talk about Black Cross, man.
Sure.
So these are 10 original tracks.
Yes.
Now, how long had you been kind of storing these riffs and nuggets along the way? Or...
I think probably some of them I've had for 10 years or so.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, 10 years or so. And one thing that I wanted to do with that record was have it be completely honest.
Right.
So there's not a single overdub on there. I filmed the actual takes, and you can see those on my YouTube channel. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I think a lot of solo instrumental guitar records that are put out now, people want to see you play it anyway, so they need to do like a playthrough or something. So so all of the guitar takes were honest, and you know, just panned left and right, and you know, solos down the middle. And Russell Broom mixed it for me. Chris Byrne played bass, who is such an incredible bass player.
Yep.
Yeah, and Adam Dowling played the drums. One of my original ideas was to cut it live on the floor as well.
Right.
I ended up not going down that route because it was a little stressful, you know, to try and have it all down and do it in a couple of days when you're paying for studio time. So I recorded all the guitars in my house, in my studio, in my basement. And Chris did all of his parts at his place, and Adam did all of his parts at his place.
It sounds good, man.
Thanks, man.
And you know what? Like, I'm a fucking geek with the guitar instrumental stuff. Like, I love so much of it. And it reminded me of Steve Morse and John Five in that there's a lot of variety on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's really good.
Thanks, man.
Like CC, fucking Shred City. Then you got the shuffle, five knuckle shuffle, and you're bluesing it up on the title track. Like, it stands alongside that stuff. I know it sounds like I'm blowing smoke up your ass, but I mean it. It's really good.
I got the vibe that you were kind of paying homage to a few different styles on this record. I heard Eddie, I heard Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eric Johnson, Gary Moore. I mean, they're all there.
Thanks. Yeah, that's a list of people that I admire very much.
And I could feel it, and
you
get so close.
Thanks, man.
It is so good.
To your point, what I love is there's homage there, but it sounds like him.
Oh, I know.
So let's talk about chasing your own tone and finding your own style.
Sure.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay, yeah.
Because you did.
Well, you know,
there's no doubt.
Something that I spent a lot of time on was playing pentatonic scales.
Yep.
And maybe not necessarily having a lot of those clever notes to rely on, and relying on having a good vibrato and lots of rakes and stuff. So I think playing basic scales for a long amount of time really helped me play one note well, and hopefully to the point where you can hear that it's me. Right. That was a big thing for me in terms of, getting your own style. And just jamming blues stuff and trying to make your own thing up.
But it's in the hands, man. Like, we know this, right? Like, I hard pressed anybody to argue against it is when Clapton picks up an instrument, or Dave Gilmour, or
well, how many times have you heard if you play somebody else's rig? It's not going to sound like them. It's going to sound like you. It doesn't matter if it's Jeff Beck's rig or whatever.
Absolutely.
So you've obviously spent the time.
Yeah.
You're going on talking about these songs being old, like these ideas for this record.
Sure.
10, 12 years. Like, I write a lot of noodles, and I never have a really great way of, you got your iPhone where you write ideas down, you put it on, some recording device, and then I'm somewhere else. How do you manage all that?
A lot of my riffs, YouTube helps me keep them.
Right.
If I play them in a YouTube video and I watch that video back a few years later.
What was I doing back in 2008? Let's find out.
Just throw up a video, yeah.
Social media and YouTube is a little bit like having a diary where you can see exactly what you were up to a few years ago. And so many of those riffs from that Black Cross record have been on some of my YouTube videos.
Right.
A decade ago, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to sound so fucking cliche, but what's your process? Like, I know that sounds terrible.
Show me your process.
You know what I mean? Like, you must have one. Or do you? Like, what is it?
I think it's like so much of my practice and writing and all of it happens on the couch in front of the TV.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll just be noodling on something, and, slowly it evolves into something that you can work with. I mean, that five knuckle shuffle.
Give us something off the album, buddy. Yeah, let's let it rip.
Great.
And don't be shy about length either. Go for it. Oh, keep going, man.
What happened to dexterity?
I want more, man. So let's call it requests.
There's not really anything original about the chords I'm playing over there. It's a 12-bar blues.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to do with that is have like a scuttlebutt-in kind of thing, but on the low strings rather than the high ones. You know, and using some legato.
Now that you say that, that makes perfect sense.
And you know what? I wrote that on, it was either my Les Paul or my SG, and playing your Les Paul here is a lot easier than doing it on a Strat because of the scale length.
Right.
So doing some of those stretchier things towards there. Like when I cut that last year or the year before, I played it on a Strat, and it was confusing me why I couldn't play it how I wanted to, and it's a scale length.
Right. Well, that guitar has never sounded quite that good.
This is killer, man. Yeah.
I'm just going to put myself down a couple pegs here because...
Dude, you're pretty badass yourself.
But it sounds amazing. And
Yeah, this is a great Les Paul. Yeah.
It weighs about 8,000 pounds.
That's the way it should be.
Sustain, man. That's how you get the sustain.
Yeah, totally, isn't it? Gotta have a bite and still be hearing that one.
Exactly.
You put that one in there, and you got to leave the room. This is an animal of a.
Can I?
Yes.
Oh,
please.
dude, here we go.
This is great. Yes.
Do it.
Let's do it. check the tuning. But
if you know any Ted Nugent, feel free.
Yeah, this is going to have like a...
Find the right spot. It's a beast. Just hold it. Just hold it a little longer. Have a, have a sip.
Oh, dude, that was badass.
You know what's that far is
so good.
Is on his videos. There's you're talking about doing something and practicing and having a conversation while you're repeating the whole thing.
Right.
That's so crazy for a lot of people to even get their head around how that's possible, because you're using three different things. You're using a right hand, a left hand, and a conversation.
I think with a lot of those fast licks, it's almost like you can walk and chew gum, right?
Right.
You know, it's like you've done something so much and you've practiced it so much that you can happily... I can have a conversation with you and it's not too much of a big deal.
Right.
But it's just muscle memory, and it's just drilling those things, and it's something that anyone can do.
Right.
And that's for me.
Well, let's get.
Well, it's finding the time. It's finding the time, isn't it?
Sure. But I've seen some guys that want to play golf too, and they can't play golf either because they just don't have the physical ability, especially with drums. If we're just going to veer off onto another instrument that's weird to get your brain around, is that you're doing independent things.
Yeah.
Not everybody has that.
Not everybody can do that. You know?
I think people can if they're willing to go slow enough.
Patience again. No one has patience. What era do we live in? Yeah. I want it now.
Something I said recently with this whole COVID thing, everyone's got some time on their hands right now.
Right.
And I was thinking about Eric Clapton when he was living in John Mayall's house.
That's right.
And, living there, listening to the record collection and practicing guitar.
Right.
What an opportunity everyone has right now to learn a musical instrument.
Or do something productive.
Yeah,
absolutely,
whether it's
man.
art or, writing books or something. It's...
Yeah.
I chose to quit smoking. That's what I did on the COVID time. Yeah.
How you doing?
2 months.
He's doing great.
Good on you, man. Good on you.
I'm just bragging,
No, that's
I can't play the guitar, so I'm going to just talk about something I can do is quit smoking.
Well, that's not easy.
No,
it's not easy.
Holy shit,
no,
dude.
you're right.
But I think people should look at something positive to do in this kind of time, because the message out there is so negative. And I know we're all hearing this and we're talking about it, and we certainly don't want to do a podcast on COVID, but it is true. It's like there's some time, and honestly, being in the studio here and when this all was happening, I did get a bunch of calls like, do you want to do something musically?
Yep. Yeah.
There are some cool things happening online, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Right. We were just talking about, before you showed up today, the Lenny Kravitz little video he did.
Believe, on Jimmy Fallon. It was just him and Craig Ross.
I haven't seen that.
And they show Lenny playing the drums and all the instruments except Craig.
Barefoot.
I think, he lives in the Bahamas or something. Sure. Right?
Somewhere nice.
And it reminded me how fucking awesome he is.
Yeah.
And Craig Ross too. That solo in that song is just fucking incredible. But it was just really low key and stripped down, and it was just awesome.
But that's how we're getting this music presented. Yeah. And there's an opportunity, like you said, an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to explore doing a song a different way and giving it to people for free to make them feel better about anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's positive.
Making the best out of a terrible situation.
Totally.
Yeah, our industry will be the last thing to come back.
That's the...
Yeah, sports are up there too. But those two things are just... Yeah.
It's a tough one, man.
It's going to be tricky for the next year.
So I'm glad you had the comfort level to join us here today, because I would have hated to do this on Zoom or Skype. Totally. It's so wicked to have
when you said you were coming in, I'm like, yes.
And you know what? Like Alberta with the numbers here, it's been handled very well. Yeah. And you look at the numbers in the UK and how much more serious the situation is over there. We're very lucky to be where we are.
Yeah. Well, I think about that. outside of COVID, I'm much happier to be in Canada
Me too.
than a lot of places on this planet.
I really subscribe to the Canadian way of life. And
Okay, I just want to go there.
Yeah, go there.
If you're cool with that, why are you here, Sam?
London's pretty badass. Why are you here?
Why are you here in Calgary? Like, it's nuts.
So I met my wife when I was in that Scottish band that I talked about before. She's a musician as well.
Okay.
And we met in China. Both of our bands were doing stuff.
You hear that every day.
Yeah, that's normal.
And she's from Calgary.
Okay.
And
what band was she in?
She was in a band called Fun in the Front Seat with, Dave Holloway.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's in that band. And I came over here to see her, and I loved it. I loved the people. I loved the space. I loved the way of life.
It's pretty hard not to, man.
You think about having a family? I mean, this shit gets important, man, quick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I moved over here.
A little less gray.
Permanently in 2009.
09, okay.
09, yeah. And you know, the blue skies, everything about Alberta. I love it.
Great.
And now with technology, you can do this. You don't need to be in Nashville.
No.
You can send tracks wherever. You know what I mean?
And like the whole economic situation in the UK with the recession that was going on. Right. And I came over here, and I got a job teaching guitar out of Guitar Works, the one on McLeod Trail. Yeah. And, I was the happiest I'd been in a long time.
Right. That's awesome.
I was playing my guitar, teaching kids, teaching grown-ups, and being able to make a living playing guitar.
Right on.
In a comfortable way, and that was because of Calgary, and
Well, we're sure glad you're here, dude. Because
I'm glad to be here.
It's great to have you on the show, and
it sounds like we're wrapping up. We're not done yet.
We're not even close. I just want to get it out in case I forget to later. You know, it's all good.
Okay, let's talk about Queen. We Will Rock You, the musical. How did that gig come to you, man?
So, 2019, I just got the news that Steve Howe is coming back, and Russell is mixing my solo record.
Right. Russell Broom has been on the show. Yeah.
One of the greatest guitar players I've got the pleasure of knowing.
Phenomenal.
Just a phenomenally humble and kind and talented individual.
Yep.
So he's mixing the record, and I found out, and I call him up asking if we can maybe sort of have the record ready for when the news drops that, that Asia's going on tour with Steve Howe again.
Right.
And, Russell said to me, well, I just found out he'd just got the MD chair for We Will Rock You. Right. And he asked me if I was interested, and I bit his hand off.
Yeah, of course you did.
I'll take it.
I'm a big Queen fan.
Yeah.
And, learning those guitar parts was one of the best guitar lessons I've had in a long time.
That was going to be my first question. The deep dive into Brian May's licks.
Yeah.
Was that must have been awesome.
It was killer. Yeah. To analyze someone like that, the way I always learn stuff is to slow stuff down and try to figure it out.
Right.
So that was a great guitar lesson, and I was really happy playing those parts.
I bet.
Did you play with the coin?
No, I tried it.
Yeah, I wondered if you did. Yeah.
Good one. Good one.
Yeah, I don't know how he does that. It's like a British sixpence.
Yeah.
But it's actually a similar thing to what Russell does, because Russell plays with the side of a pick. Which is
the long side?
Not the pointy end.
Yeah, the fat end.
Yeah, the fat end. And he likes a serrated kind of pick. And the coin with the serrated edge, it's like a tone thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the way I pick, like with a 45-degree angle, it's like you're just rubbing up against it and nothing will come out.
Right.
So I tried the coin, and it wasn't going to work.
This is not happening. So did you have to audition, or they know you're awesome and you got the gig, or how did that work?
Well, I actually had to make a video.
Okay.
That was sent to Queen's management. And
right
I
to
guess,
Queen.
I guess Brian and Roger watched it.
They're hands-on, those boys.
Yeah. So that was an intimidating thing to make that video.
But cool as hell, though.
Cool as hell. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan. And
did you meet those guys in conjunction with this?
I didn't. I was wondering, because we did Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, you did.
And it was the first time that musical had been in New York.
Yeah.
And I was I was watching Brian May on his Instagram, and he was in Tennessee like a week before, and I was thinking, I wonder if he'll swing up and maybe come catch the show. And he's a busy guy. He didn't come, but I thought maybe he would do.
What did you find maybe the most challenging or the most surprising in terms of learning his stuff? Did you know a bunch of it already, or anything hit you like that?
What was challenging? I think all of it was fairly challenging in terms of getting the right vibrato and feel for some of those solos.
Can you give us a little?
Yeah, let's see if I'll give you the big one here.
You want a different guitar? You good with that one?
No, let's do it.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
I was just gonna say, fuck. Again, the guitar, nothing like it sounded like.
It's all the nuances. It's the vibrato, and it's like raking as well. Like, you know.
Yes.
Being able to make sure every note has got the right percussive thing going on.
Now that action might be not what you're used to, or whatever.
It's a different thing, but it sounds great, and like the whole hollow thing is sort of where Brian May was coming from with
that's right,
with his guitar having hollow sections on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, is there a difference between playing this stuff in a musical as opposed to being on stage in a regular concert setting like Asia?
Yeah, very different. Yeah.
Give us the lowdown on that.
So doing the We Will Rock You thing is the first time I've ever done a gig with in-ear monitors. That was a very new thing for me.
A lot of guys don't like those.
I don't like them.
You know what? It's really hard to beat having a real amp behind you.
Right on, man.
And being loud.
Yeah.
And that's something that I missed. But what I would say is doing the in-ear monitor and the click track thing is, I think it's made me a better guitar player.
Right.
Definitely in terms of time. And also in terms of like having your tone together in your hands, because when you're listening to yourself through small drivers,
intimate,
it's
right there.
It's not very flattering.
Right.
And the other thing as well is what was going into my ears was quite dry because the venues we were playing in were big, so I didn't want to have too much reverb on it. So listening to yourself through a Helix, which is like the Helix is it's an incredible tool. But it's definitely not as much fun as having a real amp behind you.
Right.
Yes.
But tonally, like being able to be happy with my tone through in-ear monitors has definitely been a good lesson for me in how to phrase things and play, like having tone in your hands and stuff.
That's
like
cool.
that.
Was that the first time you played to a click? Because I find that most people, their first time in that world is not a great experience. It's not a happy time.
It was new for me. It was
right.
new.
But
And
just the idea to have to be conforming to that, because generally live music is a live vibe that everybody's kind of feeding off.
And playing with Carl Palmer, he is, he likes to speed up and slow sections down.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
So that was a new thing to be just straight. And actually, like some of the songs did move around a little bit because they were tempo mapped. Like Russell spent a lot of time matching a lot of tempos, but not all of them. So some of them were straight ahead. And Chad, the drummer, was incredible, and playing with him was another big lesson in playing nicely with people.
Right. And you have to stand at the same spot in the same song. Like, it's pretty rigid that way, or?
Yeah, we were actually above the stage.
Right.
On like another stage.
That's right. You guys were
separate.
Kind of
That's
back,
right.
Yeah. And then you'd show up for a solo and stuff like that.
Yeah, we were behind the video screen that moved up and down. So sometimes you could see us and sometimes you couldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a pity.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is sad that you get sequestered into the back. I've been to shows where the bands have been below a stage. Sure. And they'd only show up.
Reba
McEntire. This was unbelievable.
That's the gig, though, isn't it? It's musical theatre.
That's right.
It's somewhere between a rock show and a musical.
But it is based on a rock show. Like that's where it boggles my mind that it wasn't kind of up front all the time.
And that's the thing. I mean, you've got to cater to the singers. And if I had you know, 4 AC30s pinned,
Right.
that would probably upset them.
That would be awesome, though.
It feel good to you, though.
So it's using the right tools for the job.
Yeah, sure.
And the Helix, it sounded killer through the front of house.
The Helix, just if you don't know what this is,
Right.
Tell the,
anybody's
tell the
listening,
kids what a Helix is.
Helix is a guitar effects processor. There's a number of them.
Right.
Helix. I have an Axe Effects in
Yeah.
my studio. They simulate amps to a degree that is, for the average person,
Yeah.
they're very impressed
It's
with this
insane.
whole quality.
Like, it's
So it's
crazy.
great because you can switch between settings
Yeah.
of songs
Totally.
very quickly and to be very truthful to the tone of those songs without having to have all that stuff on a stage, which is amazing.
Yeah, if we did the gig with real amps and real drums, it wouldn't have carried as well,
Right.
you know, through the front of house. So,
Right.
yeah, I was really happy with how everything sounded
Yeah,
at the
killer.
front.
Being on the road that much and having the young family, how do you strike that balance? Like, that can't be easy,
No.
right?
It's interesting thinking about the Asia boys and what they had to go through in the 70s and the 80s. I mean, we're so lucky now. You can FaceTime,
Right.
and you can have a somewhat normal conversation with your kids.
You see them.
Yeah, yeah,
This is the reality.
yeah.
Back in the
Exactly.
days, in the 80s,
Yeah.
it was a phone call, you know.
A quick
and-
phone call as
and-
well, like
right,
talking
because it's
to
expensive,
talking to Carl Palmer and talking about being on tour in Japan in
Yeah.
the 70s. And, yeah, I'm
gotta
there.
go.
Yeah, okay, see you later.
Yeah.
I'm alive. Yeah, right. Hey.
So it was challenging. I mean, when we went away, my daughter was not even 1. And I was
Right.
gone for 3 months solid. Missed her birthday. Missed my son's birthday. And
What biography has not been written with that happening?
You know,
Yeah.
you're with the right woman, obviously.
Right.
yeah, she's
That's
incredible.
what
Yeah,
says-
my
that's what
wife
that says to me.
Janelle, you know, she was the first one to encourage me to go out and do this
Yeah.
thing. Because when I had that conversation with Russell, having 2 kids at home, you know,
Yeah.
and Janelle's so supportive, and I'm very lucky.
That's
Very
fantastic.
lucky there.
Yeah.
And being home now, having an extended time at home now, and making sure that my kids know me and I'm a part of their life.
Well, isn't that that's the thing, right? So you're gone, but when you're home, you're 24/7. Like, there
Yeah.
is that.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yeah, when you're home, you're home,
You are
for a
home.
long amount of time,
Yeah.
and you're completely hands-on.
Okay, let's switch gears again. No pun intended. Let's talk about gear a bit.
Okay.
How many
yeah.
guitars are you up to now? What do you
Ooh.
got, man? What do you got in the arsenal?
Probably 30-something.
30-something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of Strats. I've got
Yeah.
I've got a Les Paul. I've got a SG. Lots of Strats.
Those are the original SG, that Epiphone SG you had. Is that the SG
I've
you're
still got
talking
that
about?
one too. Yeah, I've
Okay.
got a Gibson. It's like a 20. I think it's 2012. It's when Gibson were in trouble with the FBI.
Okay.
And there was no rosewood going, so it's got like a roasted maple board on this SG.
Right.
And it's a great instrument. Whenever I play an E, harmonically, it just rings forever. It's like something about that guitar.
Spinal Tap showed up again.
Again.
So I've got those. I've been a big Strat guy for about a decade now. Just
Well,
because,
yeah, because 12 years ago you were heavily a Les Paul
Yeah,
guy. We
that's
just
right,
got to
yeah.
that. Yeah,
Jeff
yeah.
Beck went from Les Pauls to Strats, so you're in good company, man.
Was it the feel of it, the weight of it? What was the reason? What was the rationale?
let me grab that Strat over. I brought this over today, and I've got to go see my pot dealer apparently because this one's dead.
My pot dealer.
Yeah, the thing about the Strat is it's just so easy to play. You've got a beer belly contour, you know,
Yeah.
you've got the forearm contour, and it's easy to customize it to your needs. So, you know, we've got a humbucker in here and big frets, and just when you're traveling, when you're touring, I just don't worry about these things breaking,
Right.
which is huge.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it's about. It's versatility for me a lot as well, you know. Being able to play any genre on a Strat.
Yeah.
You
They're
know?
just something about playing them that
They both have their pros and cons, don't they?
they
I
sure
mean,
do.
They definitely do. I mean, in terms of that rich, sustainy, high gain thing, nothing's going to beat the Les Paul for me. But when you've got to go on the road,
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, unless you're touring at a certain point where you've got like a big boat of Les Pauls.
Slash.
But even wearing it around your neck, that wears you down.
For sure. Yeah, and this thing's light and you can throw it around.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about Warmoth guitars. I've never heard of them until I saw you playing one. I'm like, is that an endorsement thing you got going? Or is that...
Sort of, yeah, sort of.
Cool.
And the thing about Warmoth is I've been sort of changing things on Strats for a long time, and being able to build a Strat from the ground up was really exciting to me. So I did like my first Warmoth build maybe 5 years ago, and you can have the big frets that you want put on it immediately.
Right.
The woods that they have are incredible.
Nice flame on those guitars,
flame.
man. Oh.
And the roasted maple thing, which is really popular throughout so many guitar builders these days, and it's for touring. You can go from really humid places to really dry places to really cold places, and not have to worry about adjusting the truss rod.
Wow. Okay, Sam, advice to young guitar players. You got any? I mean, it's crazy out there, so what's your advice?
Well, I mean,
practice.
Treat it like a job.
Yeah.
Treat it like a job. If you're playing 8 hours a day, you're going to be a great guitar player.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to put your hours in. Listen to the greats.
Yeah.
You know, learn all you can from you know, the greatest albums, and just play all you can. Play loud. Play with real people. Play with a real drummer, a real bass player.
Yeah.
Turn it up so you can actually control it. Something that I see a lot of young people do is only play at a low volume, and then when you actually get a gig and an opportunity to play loud, if you can't do that, then that's a real shame. I think being a nice person is incredibly important in this industry, especially if you're going to tour, you're going to live on a bus in close quarters with people. I mean, more often than not, it's not about the best musician getting the gig. It's about a good musician who can easily live with people.
Absolutely.
That's true, because there is a lot of really great musicians.
You got to be able to hang.
Yeah, it's about the hang. I mean, you play the show and then you've got 22 hours that you're living with people. Yeah. So that's important. Look after your body. You know, when you're on the road doing stuff, you need to make sure you're not going down that hole that too many have gone down. You know, be responsible and have a few beers and do all of that stuff, but remember it's your job that you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
And when I joined Asia, I mean, John Wetton was a recovered alcoholic, and that was a really good education for me, because there was never any alcohol backstage. Never drinking before a show. That's something I still do. I don't drink before a show. I mean, I'll have a few beers after.
After, yeah.
I do. I drink before, during, and after.
You just keep it to after. Yeah, sometimes then it creeps in. Yeah. Pretty soon you're snorting a line off the Marshall's amp.
Hang on 1 second. Be right back.
That's right. Yeah, that's solid advice, man, for sure. What's the first riff you learned that you remember learning?
Oh, what's the first riff?
Yeah. I'm always curious about that early shit.
It was probably...
I just need an excuse to get you to play again is really all I'm doing.
Got some stuff like that. And,
now,
like that.
Richie says everybody plays it wrong. You know that, right?
Does he?
Yeah.
How does he play it?
Well, see, I knew you were going to ask me that. He finger picks it for starters.
Oh,
no, I'm not going to do it. Everybody plays it wrong. Here's how you do it.
Yeah.
And I know he was finger picking it.
I think it's probably on the girthier strings, isn't it? You know, rather, especially through, you know, a Strat and a Marshall, and that bridge pickup is going to take your head off.
Yeah,
right.
You know, being able to put. I wonder if he
and a lot of that riff's John Lord too, but it was more like that.
Like that.
It was more like that. Yeah.
You know, like some Nirvana ones. Probably this one. Polly by Nirvana. That would have been an early one. And you know, just the blues scale. You know, just noodling on that. Yeah, that was a big one.
Kiss ever show up in your world?
No, not really.
Oh, see, that's the age difference.
Yeah.
He's 20 years younger than me. How do I look? Oh, dude.
Yeah.
It's depressing. But that's why there's no Kiss. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, for sure. Because that was a time when they weren't.
It's where you come in, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't really ever on my radar too much.
Like, think of all the music you listened to before you heard Nirvana. A fucking shitload.
Oh, a ton. In my age group, yes.
And that's one of the first bands you mentioned. So there you go. True. That's all it is, man.
Red Hot Chili Peppers was a big one as well.
Yeah. Love that band. Frusciante is just incredible.
And having that, he had that Hendrix thing.
Absolutely, yeah. He's back now.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. I like these rapid fire questions.
Shoot
Okay, you ready?
Off, man.
First thing that pops into your head. You ready?
Yeah.
Stones or Beatles?
Beatles.
Boo. Wrong.
Boo.
Wrong answer.
Wrong. Get out.
Okay, you ready? Gillan and Glover or Coverdale and Hughes?
Coverdale and Hughes.
Right answer.
Hughes in particular is probably the best rock singer alive,
Dude,
I'd say.
he's still unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, the hard part for me with Hughes is when he goes, yeah. That stuff.
I love that. Yeah,
I have a hard time with that part.
During Burn.
Yes, especially live. Exactly.
Yeah, I know exactly.
I kind of know, we don't need that here. This music's so good.
Black Country Communion is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh man, and Hughes doing Mistreated. And his falsetto is just out of this world.
It's tough to top Child in Time, Gillan though. But anyway, they're both. I mean, these are just Hendrix or Eddie?
Hendrix. Yeah, for sure.
I knew you were going to say that. Michael Schenker Group or UFO?
Michael Schenker Group.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Damn it! I'm never going to hear the end of it now.
No, you will not.
I keep trying to sell him on UFO.
I got to open up for UFO when I was like 20.
What?
With Vivian Campbell on guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Slouch.
Wow. That's awesome.
That was a good time.
Okay, one more.
Yeah.
KK Downing and Glenn Tipton or Dave Murray and Adrian Smith? I saved the best for last. See that?
I don't know. That's a tough one.
It is, isn't it?
I love both of them.
I know.
I don't know if I could make that call, to be honest.
Well, I was going to say, you get to
both of them are so parallel.
You get to plead the fifth on one. So there you go.
Yeah, okay.
You're off the hook. It's off the hook.
Because I'm always, Priest is right here and Maiden's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what makes us unique, is I flip it completely.
I mean, they're like two sides of the same coin.
They really
those
are.
Two bands.
They are. Yeah.
And having that twin guitar thing is incredible. And both of them did it at such a great level.
And neither one's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Well, there's no Hall of Fame.
What?
It's the Hall of
Shame.
Shame.
It really
exactly.
is.
I'm not sure if I believe too much in that organisation.
That's right. And neither do they.
No.
No, they don't.
Okay, man.
How are you going to play us out? Because we want to
well, let me have
leave
one.
with some.
Is this going to work?
Well, that's a fucking wrap.
Fuck, perfect. It's so great to have you on, man.
Thanks so much for having me,
One of
man.
those.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll
go.
elbow it up.
I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, it's our pleasure,
fan
buddy.
of the show. Keep doing what you're doing. It's great.
Thanks, man.
And I hope we get to see you live sooner than later, man, because this is really hard on not just musicians, but music fans.
Yep. Shows will come back. There'll always be a place for the rock show in the world.
Absolutely.
I'm a firm believer in that.
Great.
Okay, everybody check out Sam's social media. He's on all the platforms,
Yep.
right?
I'm
Check
gonna
out his
mention-
YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm going to mention one video they got to check out, which when I watched it, I just thought this.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. The Prince Purple Rain.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, man.
Video you do with your interpretation of a solo through there. You're a great guitar face guy. You're going to see this, and I love it. And that means you're connected to that instrument
That's right.
pretty big.
The face is the ambassador of your music.
Yes.
And you know what? If you can't believe in your own music,
Right.
why should anyone else?
Right. I'm a firm believer, man.
put.
So it's all over that, but just your feel. That's just such an amazing song to riff over, and what you
great
did.
changes.
What you did with that was just awesome.
Thanks,
so
man.
please check it out.
Check it out.
It's so worth it.
Yeah.
And every other video. And if you're a guitar student, he's got lots of great stuff on there too, man.
Yep, been doing a lot of
Wicked.
teaching stuff on there.
Yeah,
on YouTube.
so great.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Okay,
man.
we're out. Peace out.
Rock
Cheers.
on.